Somebody's Daughter is a true crime podcast brought to you by Origins Australia, supporting people separated by adoption. It contains distressing material that some listeners may find triggering and is unsuitable for children. The producers respect the traditional owners of the land on which it was recorded and pay their respects to Aboriginal elders, past, present and emerging.
Between 1949 and 1990, more than 150,000 babies were systematically stolen from young vulnerable mothers in hospitals and maternity homes around Australia under the government's historic forced adoption practices. In 1969, 17-year-old Wendy Pankhurst's beautiful newborn baby was one of them. Distressed and sedated, the grieving teenager was separated from other mothers at the small country hospital in New South Wales, where she was pressured into giving her up for adoption. Today, Wendy joins us from her home in country New South Wales, reflecting on the heartache of the lifelong suffering that continues to dog the lives of thousands of survivors who are victims of a crime Australia tried to hide.
Thank you so much for joining us, Wendy.
Thank you.
Now, taking you back to, obviously, what would have been a very difficult part of your life, what year was this that you fell pregnant?
1969.
Okay, and you'd been with your partner for a number of years?
Yes.
And what was the reaction to the pregnancy from everybody? Well, from him first.
He was fine. The worst reaction was from my mum and dad, particularly my mum. I was okay. I just thought that eventually we would get married anyway. We'd been together a long time. And so I just thought, well, sooner than later.
Okay. And what happened from there?
I really don't know exactly what happened, but he obviously changed his mind.
Okay.
And so left me when I was 6 months pregnant.
Oh, that's really sad. I think you did say, because Wendy was one of the ladies that appeared on 60 Minutes sharing her story there, but Wendy, I think you said your mum sort of came around to it, didn't she? And she said, hold your head up high, which was really good to hear, because at that time, she probably is one of the only women who can say that.
I lived in a small community of about 1,200 people at the time.
Yep.
And my family was very well known in the area. And my mum and dad had a chat and decided that they wouldn't send me away anywhere, that I would be staying at home with them. And so she just said to me, well, it's nobody else's business, and people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, so you just hold your head up high and we'll support you.
Wow.
But did you, though? Were you able to hold your head up high?
No. No, it's not easy to walk down the street and feel that everybody's having a little whisper about you.
And had you completed your HSC?
I did complete my HSC. I certainly didn't get the marks that I wanted because I had to drive 35 kilometres to school, and most mornings I had to stop and be sick.
Oh, no.
And whereabouts were you? Whereabouts in New South Wales were you then?
I was living in Moyra in the Central West, where I still live, but I went to school at Orange.
Okay, so every day it was a 35-minute drive.
Yes.
So he's left you when you're 6 months pregnant.
Yep.
Was he scared, or did he just change his mind, or was he just not ready for that kind of commitment?
No, I think he found somebody else and obviously thought that he was in a better place than being with me.
So you're looking down the barrel of a gun, really. Whatever, you're going to have to deal with this on your own. Well, you got your family. At least you had mum and dad behind you, which so many other people didn't have. But still, it's a lonely journey, isn't it?
A very lonely journey.
So your intention was to have the child and at such a young age become a mother?
Yes. Well, yes and no. I used to see a social worker at every visit to the doctors. I saw a social worker. And I remember her name very well because she sticks in my craw every day. She continuously told me that I shouldn't keep the baby, that I wasn't fit to be a mother at such a young age, and that I had nothing to offer the baby, that the baby would be far better off with two parents to love her, or love it at that time, and to support it and give it the life that it deserved, and I couldn't give it the life it deserved.
What a horrible human. Sorry, that's just to be working as a social worker, but to actually be talking to a young girl like that.
She never, ever supported me to keep that child.
So they didn't give you options that they might have offered you? That
No.
They didn't tell you what kind of support, if any, was available in that time?
She told me there was no support available.
That wasn't actually true, was it? That wasn't actually true.
Many years later I found that to be a lie.
So who was she working for, or who was she involved with? And you know, I can say it now, could you have found another one? But obviously at that stage she'd worked you mentally to believe what her truth.
Exactly, and also Mum. She called Mum in and she told Mum the same thing, that that, you know, it was an imposition on Mum and Dad to support me and a baby, and that, you know, that they shouldn't have to do that. And it was better off to just walk away and get on with my life and not look back.
So really there's a conditioning going on quietly. It's coercive, isn't it? It's conditioning you to believe you're not up to the job. And they do the same with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Very coercive. And that was every visit.
So how does that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel very inferior at the time. And as years have gone by, especially once I joined Origins and found out lots of things that I didn't know, it made me very angry.
It would.
Yes.
Definitely.
So you went into, was it a sort of straightforward pregnancy that you had? Were you healthy, and was it a good pregnancy?
I was very healthy.
Good.
But you went to the Orange Base Hospital, didn't you? Is that right? To have your baby?
That's correct.
I found Wendy, Moyra, I found Wendy's medical files amongst piles and piles of Origins archived medical files from people where they'd done surveys and things like that. And what was interesting with Wendy's files is that they were describing you on those files not as really, they knew you didn't want to give the baby up, didn't they?
My doctor knew that, and much against the hospital regulations, he said that I could have an hour with her after she was born. And there was a huge row in the labour ward where they said I couldn't have her, and he just said, well, he's a doctor and they could leave the labour ward.
So he was humane, because that was really unusual, wasn't it, at the time?
It was very unusual.
And so you had a baby girl.
I did.
And what, did you name her?
I did. I named her Catherine. And, I can still see her to this very day.
And did you spend that hour with her? The doctor did let everyone. What happened from then?
They came and took her. They didn't give me 1 minute over the hour, I can tell you. And they just came and took her away.
And who were they?
The nursing staff.
And your reaction at that time?
I cried.
So that would have been, look, you know, even now that memory is painful, isn't it? We can see that. It's a very painful memory. And that's the point people don't realise, you know. It's not something you ever get over in time. So people being told to go away and forget all about it.
But not only just that, I mean, obviously that moment, but being told that you were unfit the whole time as well, just the mental anguish that would have, it's just horrible. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm getting Oh, Wendy.
It's like my mum said to me, she said, well, we can work on something in the future, because I was a good student and was doing a lot of first level subjects at the time of my HSC. But it didn't work out that way.
But I think you said that you cried every day that you were in hospital. You cried after the baby was taken, and you couldn't you just couldn't reconcile yourself with that huge loss, could you?
No, I couldn't.
Did you go...
They put me in a room that was the furthest room away from everybody. And I wasn't allowed to go to a shower until everybody else had had a shower. It was a communal shower in those days, and I wasn't allowed to go to the shower until everybody else had had a shower. So I wasn't mingling with other people.
Well, with other mothers.
Were they keeping you away from them, the other mothers, on purpose?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And were they giving you drugs at that stage as well?
Yeah, I did have drugs in the early part. I can't remember what I had, but the first day or so, so that I slept when I wasn't awake and crying. I slept. And then I had medication to dry up my milk, and I had a binder on, which was very, very uncomfortable.
So you would have been given, probably you wouldn't know at the time, but you would have been given diethylstilbestro, which is DES, which is
I believe I was.
Which is the drug they routinely gave in overdose amounts to young mums, so that it would quickly dry the milk up and they would go home with no baby and no milk to remind them that they'd had a baby. But were you asked about whether you wanted that drug?
No.
So you were just drugged straight after having the beautiful Catherine, and then shunned off to another room.
Yep.
And they didn't tell you what it was for, did they tell you what it was for?
Yeah, the doctor did tell me it was to dry up my milk.
But you wouldn't question it at 17. You've got a doctor saying, here you go, take this.
And the same doctor was it the same doctor who showed you some kindness as well?
It was, yeah.
So how long were you in there for?
I was in there for 5 days.
And then left to go home to Mum and Dad?
Yep.
What was Mum and Dad's reaction? Did they come and visit you at the hospital?
Yes. Dad didn't. Dad hated hospitals.
Okay.
But Mum came every day.
And what was Mum's reaction?
She was always good. She always brought me a book or some little tidbit, just a chocolate, anything.
Was she allowed to see the baby?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. So no one was.
Do you now know what happened to Catherine?
I do know. It was many years later when I actually went nursing myself, and I was working in obstetrics.
Yep.
And I was talking to one of the nurses who had also put her baby up for adoption. And I said to her that I had rung the hospital. I went home on a Friday, I think, and I rang the hospital on the Sunday. Anyway, it was only 2 days later, whichever it was.
Yep.
And said that I believed I had 30 days to change my mind, and I wanted to come and collect her. And they put me through to the social worker, who told me the baby had already left the hospital. So when I was working in obstetrics, this nurse said to me, that wouldn't have been right. She said, let's go and find the register.
Wow.
So we went and dug the register out of the archives and went through it until we found her, and found that she'd left the hospital 30 days later.
Because they had to wait, didn't they? They couldn't just take the baby. So was that the same? Were you working in obstetrics at the same hospital, Wendy?
I was.
Wow.
And choosing a field of nursing?
Yep.
Midwifery?
Midwifery?
I did both, yeah. General and midwifery.
Was that to somehow try to heal that pain?
I think so.
Yeah. And be a guiding light for someone in there, in that situation.
I loved the babies, and I always tried to get the bay that had the babies that were for adoption. When I was doing obstetrics at Japan.
Because you related to that. You related to it. Were they still taking...
They deserve extra cuddles, don't they?
Were they still taking babies then when you were working in midwifery?
1975, 76, I did obstetrics, and they were still taking babies, and they also had babies that were voluntarily given up. But we had a couple of babies that were from married mothers who'd been in other relationships and tried to restore their initial relationship, etc.
Yeah.
But But I like to work in that bay because we got to nurse the babies and it just gave me an opportunity to give them extra cuddles.
Extra love, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you go home and pick up your life where you've had a baby, you're told to go home and get on with it, basically? How was that for you?
It was terrible. I used to go and sit on the wood heap and cry, and then I'd get up at night time and I would walk and walk and walk.
And was anyone supportive of you in that time?
Mum and my grandparents.
So painful, isn't it? Like, such a young girl.
Did you go into study then as well after that?
No. I got a job as a telephonist after that. And I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went nursing.
Okay. Next, Wendy recounts how difficult it was to return to the same hospital to have her subsequent children. She also details a series of health challenges that have arisen and damningly spread to her own children in the years since her initial birthing ordeal. This is somebody's daughter, someone else's child. The Somebody's Daughter podcast. Thanks to Origins Australia, supporting people separated by adoption.
Do you ever hear anything more from the father?
Yeah, I'm actually with him.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't
I
expecting
did not
that.
expect that, Wendy. Okay, that's another story over here. Wow, when did you get back together?
Some years ago.
Okay. And have you had children yourself together?
No. I have 5 children with my ex-husband.
Okay.
Oh, so you went into a relationship with a different man afterwards. How old would you have been then? How long after?
I think I was 21 when I met Joe.
Okay. And then married and then babies after that?
5 children.
5 children. Wow.
So what was that like, Wendy, when you went back into hospital to have your subsequent children and it must have been very hard to be pregnant again and then that loss is still there with you, isn't it?
It is. It was very difficult having my first baby, whom I called Catherine.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, it was very difficult, and I can't explain how I felt.
Yeah.
But I had one of the RNs who, I don't know whether you ever heard of Fairbridge Farm, but she was from Fairbridge Farm, which was at Molong, and she knew my family. She used to come and sit with me, and she used to say to me, Wendy, you can't go backwards now. You have to concentrate on the baby that you've got here, and you just have to move forward. You can't. There's nothing you can do about what's gone on in the past.
Did that help?
Very, very, yeah, definitely.
It did help because whenever she was on, she always made time to come and sit with me.
So how did that go for you then when you went on to have more children? And there's always a hole in your life, isn't there?
There's always a hole. There's always that missing piece.
Yeah. So the 5 kids, in what period of time? Because you were 21 when you had your first, or really your second, pardon? Yeah.
No, I was 23 when I had her. And then I had Felicity 2.5 years later, then Kira 4 years later, Lauren 3 years after that, and Lachlan 2 years after that.
Oh, the boy at the end, hey?
All those girls.
All those beautiful girls.
All those girls. And so they were starting to change the rules, weren't they? When did you join Origins? Because they were set up to sort of campaign for change and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, they were. I'm not sure when I joined Origins, but it would have been several years before they changed the rules. And as soon as the Adoption Act changed, I sent away for non-identifying information.
And what happened from there?
So I got that non-identifying information, and then with the help of my Catherine, we tracked down where Joanne was. And then when the laws changed, she turned 21 when the laws changed. So I wrote a letter to her and also to her adopted mother and asked her would she pass the letter on. And I put my phone number, and she called me and she said she was happy to pass the letter on, but not until after Joanne's 21st.
Okay.
And she said then it was up to her what she did.
Yes.
So I didn't hear from her. And then Edna called me and said that she'd gone to England.
Edna's her mother, or the adopted mother? Yep.
Yeah.
Did you know where she'd gone to, where she'd been brought up?
Yeah, I did. She was brought up at Lillipilly.
How far
in
away?
Sydney.
Oh, okay. Yep. And the parents that she were given to, do you know anything about them?
I only knew from what the identifying information was, and this might sound a bit mean, but I was stunned to find that they were older than my parents.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. It might be trivial to some people, but to me that was a really hard pill to swallow.
It would have been. I've heard that from quite a few ladies from Origins who were mothers whose babies were taken, and a couple have said that they were horrified to learn that, because there were actually rules in adoption about suitability, and you were not supposed to be over. Was it over 50 or something? There was a rule where you couldn't be too old.
Yeah, but they'd already had an adopted child, you see.
Oh, okay.
So then they could have the second child.
Yeah.
And the irony was that their other adopted daughter was Catherine.
Oh, stop. Oh my gosh, Wendy. You're sending me on a roller coaster of emotions. Wow.
You can't believe those coincidences,
No.
can you?
So Joanne had gone to England. Had she gone to live in England?
She'd gone to work for 2 years. And so that was in August. She turned 21 in the July, and she left in the August. Apparently she'd broken up with her long-term boyfriend, so she decided that she was just going to go overseas. And surprisingly, she rang us on Christmas Day and just said hello, and said that she would make contact in her time, or contact in her time, but she was upset because while she always wanted to find me, she wanted to be the person to make that contact.
Okay.
And the fact that it was reversed was something that she had to deal with in her own time.
It wasn't the way she wanted it to be.
No, it wasn't.
How did that feel, getting that phone call?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. And she spoke to all of us, said hello to everybody. But then I didn't hear from her again for quite some months. And then I just got a letter out of the blue.
And what did the letter say?
Just that she was doing okay and where she was working, and that she would be in touch again.
And did she get in contact with you?
She did. The next Christmas we got a card. We didn't get a phone call, but we got a card. And then I got a letter from time to time, and I wrote back to her.
What was the reaction of your other children to her and the story?
Well, Joe always knew. I told him right from the very beginning. And he was always supportive of me. And we were on a holiday, and we decided that while we were on a holiday, that was the best time to tell the kids. And the younger kids were okay, but Catherine wasn't. She was very angry, and she ran away and hid for a while.
Oh.
She said that that now I'd changed everything for her because she was no longer the eldest in the family.
Of course.
It changes everything, doesn't it? She's grown up being the eldest, and that's her place in the family. as the older sister, and suddenly she isn't.
No. And we did that before I actually had contact with Joanne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take us through what's happened with you and Joanne from the letter writing and the card and the phone call.
Eventually she wrote and said that she was staying in England another 2 years, that she'd met somebody, and they were waiting for him to get a visa to come to Australia. And she just, contact was spasmodic, just every now and again. And then she wrote and said that she was coming home and getting married, which she did subsequently. And then I think I didn't hear from her then for a little while. And my son was playing hockey at Liverpool, and she was living at Loftus. And he said to me, I'll go back a step prior to that. She rang and said that she'd had cancer when she had her first child.
Oh.
She had thyroid cancer, and she rang and asked, was there any cancer in the family, because she had 2 types of cancer, one of which was familial and only normally in women past menopause.
How old was she?
She must have been 30.
Wow.
Do you believe there might be a link between the DES and that? Even though you didn't feed her, you didn't nurse her, and she was given away, not given away, forcibly given away. Those babies in the nurseries were still fed milk by other people, and you don't know. Sometimes some mothers had surplus milk, so they were given DES that didn't work, so milk was expressed and fed to the prem babies or the babies up for adoption.
It was, yeah.
So what do you think?
She has asked me that question because she has lots of issues that are similar to my own girls.
Yeah.
And so does, and her eldest daughter has very serious endometriosis issues,
Yes.
which is the same as my girls and Catherine in particular.
And those are your subsequent children, because they know that thyroid, as we know from the women we've spoken to, thyroid is one of the cancers because it's a endocrine cancer that this drug causes. So thyroid cancers, diabetes, endometriosis, all these fertility things in subsequent children are very commonplace. But I just wondered, because a lot of those prem babies and babies that were up for adoption weren't just given formula.
No, and that's something I haven't thought of that, and yet I should have, because I worked in obstetrics. But she's asked me that question several times because of her cancer and especially because of Ella's serious health issues. Plus, Joanne is like me. She's an asthmatic. She had lots of allergies, which are like our second daughter, Felicity, had massive allergies. And ironically, they both went to the same immunologist.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
That's incredible. They both saw the same immunologist.
Unbelievable. And all of those issues we now know from the research that's been done is definitely linked with DES. They're all absolutely similar, and also we know it's intergenerational. You know, Lily Arthur's granddaughter's got Muckle-Wells syndrome. Her daughter Amanda, who was born after her son was given away or was forcibly given away, she's got health issues, and it's through the family.
My eldest daughter, Catherine, has had very serious health issues. So she had stage 4 endometriosis, which had attached to her bladder, bowel, ovaries, and cervix.
Gosh.
So she had serious issues with endometriosis, but she's got a lot of other health issues as well.
Is this Catherine, the second daughter? So, yeah. But you wouldn't have been told any of those things, even though they were starting to see signs of health issues that related to that drug. They didn't know enough about it then. They did know that it was risky. They stopped giving it in 1971 because of the risk. But it was...
They were still giving it much later.
I know.
In a lot of obstetric hospitals. I was still giving it in... I would almost say without hesitation, I was still giving it Nepean when I was doing obstetrics, and that was 75, 76.
Wow.
In actual fact, DES was actually banned in Australia as a miscarriage drug in 1971.
Yeah.
But it continued to be used in overdose quantities as a lactation suppressant on unmarried mothers into the late 1970s.
It's my understanding it was still given in New South Wales till 1978.
Oh, my
I believe
goodness.
it. I do believe it.
Ahead, Wendy meets her firstborn daughter face to face. She shares with us what she had grown up knowing about her birth parents. Wendy also details a very surprising and happy reunion that occurred many years later. The Somebody's Daughter podcast. Thanks to Origins Australia, supporting people separated by adoption. So did you meet, when was the first time you met Joanne face to face?
After I said we spoke about her cancer, and then it would have been maybe 6 months later. Lachlan was playing hockey at Liverpool, and so he asked could he ring her and ask her would she go and watch him play hockey.
Oh, wow.
And he did, and she said yes, she would. So we went down to meet them. There was her and Chris, and they had little William. And Mum and Dad and my daughter Felicity and Lachlan and Lauren. So my two youngest children, Felicity, Catherine and Kira, weren't there. So we went down and we met them.
What was that like for you?
It was overwhelming, I think, in some ways. I think Mum was the one who was the most overwhelmed. Dad was just jumping out of his boots. He was so excited. But Mum was, I think because Mum was the person that shared the pregnancy and everything else with me, that for her it was like, we never spoke about it, but it was like, I think Mum had some misgivings.
Yeah, and that's her granddaughter and great-grandchild.
Yeah, first grandchild.
Yep.
Did you look like her?
Great-grandchild.
Did you look alike? Could you see a likeness?
Oh, yes. She's very much like my girls. Yeah, very much like them.
And that was the first meeting, and it went beautifully and obviously overwhelmingly. Have you seen each other much more after that?
Yeah, we used to see her when we'd go down to hockey. My kids played representative hockey quite a lot, but Lachlan always played around that area. So she always came and watched his games, and we had a weekend of hockey. And he had to stay with everybody else in his team. But Mum and Dad and Joe and myself, we went and had dinner with her, and so we sort of started to catch up with her then, and then I'm not sure how much longer before she met the other kids, Catherine and Kira. But then she came home to weddings and the girls' debutante balls, and
that's
lovely.
Wonderful. So we've done very few stories with successful reunions.
It's lovely.
Very, very few. So it's really good to hear that there are those stories.
Yeah,
out there.
definitely. What was the story that had she been told about the adoption, or how was she brought up?
She said she always knew. She said she knew from about the time she was 5 that she was adopted.
And did they mention?
They both were.
How? It's not an adoption, really, is it? It's being taken away from you. Did she know anything about that? Did the parents know anything about that?
All she knew, as far as I know, was that I'd done my HSC and so I wasn't a dumbhead or somebody off the streets. I think that's pretty much all she knew, was that, you know, I had done my HSC, and she knew that she was born in Orange, though. She did know she was born in Orange.
I'm so glad that you have come back together in that relationship.
So at some stage in the future, Wendy, your marriage, your first marriage, ended.
Yep.
How long was it before? Was there a time in there where you contacted Joe's father and said, "I found our daughter," or did that wait till much later?
No, I did. When the adoption things changed, I wrote him a letter and asked him to, because it said on the birth certificate, father unknown.
Oh, okay.
They always said that, didn't they?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I asked him to change that, which he did. And then I think I told him that I was that I'd met her, and asked him had he told his own children, which he said no, he hadn't.
Was he still in the same area as you?
He still lived in Orange. So so it was just random contact like that about Joanne. I think I told him that she had cancer. Yeah. I did. I asked him, was there any cancer in his family? And he said no, there wasn't. And interestingly, there was none in my family either until much later. And then Dad's sister died from thyroid cancer.
Oh.
And my first cousin on Mum's side died from thyroid cancer.
Oh, so that familial thing, it was there then, wasn't it? That genetic thing, it just hadn't presented itself at the time that you met her.
So that was the familial one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said she had two different sorts, so...
Yes, she did. She had two different nodes.
You have to wonder, don't you?
And when did that sporadic contact with Joe's father turn into a romance?
Much later.
And how has he met her?
Yes.
And how is that, the being back together after all of these years?
Oh, I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
And he loves the kids.
So at what stage did you get back together with Joanne's dad?
I'll say about 9 years ago.
There's a little smirk there, Wendy. There's a little smirk there.
There is.
So how did that come about?
I think just from contact.
Yeah.
And he'd had another family as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was divorced.
So you sort of come full circle after 4 years together, and then all that time in between, and a whole lifetime in between.
Yep.
Do you look back on the past, and have you talked about that? You know, things might have been different, but they're not.
Yeah, we have talked about it a lot, about the intervening years, but I believe nothing happens by chance, and that whatever happened, and he went on with his life, and I went on with mine, and
Sure.
And I have to say that I had a fairly good marriage, and I had 5 wonderful children.
Definitely.
And you're a grandma. We've seen someone helping you in the background there with the recording set up. How many grandchildren do you have?
20.
What?
20?
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Hey. That's fantastic. And what kind of grandmother are you? Are you Nana or are you...
I'm Ma.
Nice. Yep.
And I'm a very hands-on grandmother. And apart from Joanne's children, I see my grandchildren very regularly. Once, like Liliana, when she's just finished her teaching, and when she was in Molong working, I'd see her nearly every day, and I see the children from my youngest daughter nearly every day.
Fabulous.
She currently lives with her dad, or her dad lives with her, and she's got 8 children.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So your life is very full of kids.
My life is very full of kids, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
What a beautiful ma you would be too.
I love them to bits. They are my life.
Wow.
Absolutely my life.
And how many children has Jo gone on to have?
She had 4. They told her after William she couldn't have any, she probably wouldn't have any because of the radiation. But she went on to have 3 more, 2 girls and a boy.
And what's her health like now?
She did have another cancer scare a few years ago, but overall she's pretty good. She went back to uni, she went to uni, must be 5 years ago, and did a degree in sports science, and she's now a rehabilitation therapist.
Oh, fantastic. Taking after you too with that caring nature.
Yeah, and doing very well. And she passed with distinction.
Fantastic.
Oh,
I'm
Wendy,
very proud of her.
this has just been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. There's been tears and laughter and surprise and everything, and just want to reach into the screen and give you a big hug.
And thank you so much for agreeing to do this. It is a painful time of your life to revisit. I think that we found that with everybody, haven't we, Moyra? Everyone that's come on, you go back to that place and the pain's still there, no matter how old.
I know. I cry with nearly every podcast I listen to.
Oh, bless.
I'm sure.
And I said, I use Liliana's Spotify, and she'll be travelling somewhere and she'll ring me up and say, Ma, are you listening to the podcast?
Oh, does she? Oh, does she?
And I'd say yes, and she'd say, because I couldn't get on my Spotify, and I said, give me it back, and she'd say, no, you keep listening.
Oh, bless.
And
That's
she's listened to
wonderful.
some as well.
That's good.
Yeah, she's listened to some, seeing I've been listening.
That's so lovely that you got so much love and support around you, Wendy.
I have got a lot of love and support around me.
Oh, well, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
Take a
ladies,
big
for having
hug
me.
through the screen.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I very much appreciate it.
Join us next week where another survivor will be sharing their experience of forced adoption. If you would like any more information about any of the issues raised in this podcast or have an experience that you would like to share, contact Origins Australia on 0756 270565 or 0414 959 239. Or check out the website originsaustralia.org. For immediate support 24 hours a day, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.